All righty. Hello, world. I love this amazing opportunity where we can just sit in our homes or wherever we might be, and we can actually share what's going on with us, with the world. Um, this is Michelle Hoffmann's liner notes. Liner notes are the insight that artists or curators offer to explain what's really going on at the time when some sort of artwork is actually being created and developed. So if you got an album or recording and the artist talked about what inspired them to write that song or what was going on at the time, those are the liner notes. Michelle Hoffmann's liner notes are the imperative insight and curated wisdom that you need to inspire you to unblock your potential. In a changing world, you can find your unique path to create balance and enjoy an abundant life with all the resources you need. I help new and seasoned managers develop high-performing teams to achieve personal and professional goals. Discover how I can help you and your company at lightthesparklady@gmail.com. For a free copy of my new book, The New Management Blueprint, Spark Talent, to ignite winning teams and create valuable results, go to lightthesparklady.com and we can get together. But today I want to share with you somebody who actually makes a really big impact in the world by helping spiritually inclined professional women create dream careers so that they feel fulfilled and happy with both their work and personal lives. Today I introduce Valentina Savelyeva. She's an international best-selling author of Get Clear on Your Career, and she's got a special gift for us at the end of this webinar. So Valentina, thank you for joining us today. Will you help us understand how you help spiritually inclined professional women create dream careers so that they can feel happy and fulfilled both professionally and personally?
Sure. And Michelle, thank you so much for having me here. It's always such a joy to connect. I love your energy, and it's truly a gift
Thank you.
to kind of be speaking to you.
Thank you
So
for
just a
sharing
little bit about, say it again?
Thank you for sharing your expertise with us.
Of course, it's all about sharing with me. So
Mhm.
part of my journey, I've been on this path of kind of self-development for a while. And when I was turning 35, I was in an interesting place. On the outside, like my resume, my life looked perfect. I was, engaged for 5 years. I had a ring on my finger. We had a fancy apartment, 25th floor, all glass in the middle of Manhattan. I was making over $250,000. We had a cat who was super good looking, which is very important. And I was teaching like anywhere from Harvard to like Columbia to all these big universities, being requested internationally. But I'll be honest with you, Michelle, still at night, when I would go to bed, I would feel anxious because something was missing. I kept refusing to to commit to a wedding date. Just no matter, I always kept finding excuses. I kept feeling like I have all this self-development books that I've read. I got my master's in spiritual psychology. I knew something else was out there, but I just couldn't trust myself enough, couldn't hear that enough.
Wow.
And what happened is I got to a breaking point. And of course, I believe that life, universe, whatever you have it, if we don't listen, gives us just a little bit of a nudge. And I got like a medium-sized nudge, maybe like a good size. So literally within a month, it was October, I was 35, and within 1 month, like kind of so many things changed. Anything from like moving from New York to LA, the house fell through right before we were about to, like, our furniture was in the truck and the house fell through.
Oh my
Our
God.
cat got sick. My parents got into a horrible accident. Like everything was like falling apart. And I was not nearly as enthusiastic at all. But what was interesting, I remember driving that month in my car in LA. I was going to class and I heard this song for the first time. And it said, "Your life is not falling apart. It's coming together in place.
Wow.
Your life is not falling apart. It's coming together in place. And those words, like, I hang on to those words. In
Yeah.
many ways, that's what I do. Like, I feel like this transitions, it's so the work that I do with spiritually inclined women, and the reason I use spirit, I feel like the career transitions we go through, especially in our 30s and early 40s, it's so much more than just the next promotion. It's so much more than, having a side business. It's about finding the next level of expression of what our soul wants to express. And yes, we want to make more money, but it's so much more than that. And it's also about what I want my next stage of my personal life to look like. So
Right.
that's kind of like what I do in a nutshell.
That's a lot. That's a lot. So what type of clients come to you? Who are the types of people who you work with?
Yeah, so I appreciate that question because one of the things that I always talk to clients about is that coaching is such an intimate and very precious relationship.
Yeah.
So the match is just crucial, crucial. And there were so many times when I would talk to someone and they would be a wonderful person, and sometimes I would just recommend someone else because we want that match. So
Yeah.
the clients that I mostly choose to work with, I usually kind of have at least a decade of work experience. So they're usually in their, sometimes I take someone in late 20s, but usually they're in the 30s, maybe even early 40s, but usually kind of they have at least a decade of experience. And they kind of want something else. They may have had, some experience with promotions. They, they may not just want a promotion. They want the new level, whatever that is, leadership. Some of them get new jobs. Some of them get new careers. I had a client a few years ago. She started a business. She just had an inkling of an idea and she had no clue where that's going to go. And now, like, it's been 3.5 years, and the business, she just emailed me recently, was valued at $4 million, right? She had no idea how big it was going to be. So, but she had a vision of wanting to express herself. So it's usually women who are ready for something bigger. They may not even put a thing on it just yet.
Right.
Also women who are a lot of times go through transitions, like, I want to date and get married. How do I want my life, my career to look like? Or I want to have a family. How do I adjust? So I feel like as women, we can't separate. We want to kind of move our personal and professional life together. So
Mhm.
those are the clients that I usually help. And spiritual piece is, I feel like it's an accelerator. It helps, instead of just moving, like, instead of taking a car, now we can fly a plane. So that's why I incorporate pieces like that.
Gorgeous. So people come to you
Mhm.
when they want to make a difference in their lives professionally and personally. They've had a decade of work experience and a decade of life experience as a career person. And then something is going to trigger them or inspire them to go, this is a breaking point and I need to make a change. Either I'm looking for a promotion or I'm looking for more meaning in my impact on the world, either professionally or spiritually or personally, as you were pointing out. So, can you share with us some of the tips and tools or the advice that you give these people? Because, you know, knowing that you want to make a change is one thing, and even experiencing the breaking point, as you point out, is like there's this aha moment, but then we don't always know what to do with it. So how do you help support these people and help them find their dream careers?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm all about tools and tips and tricks. So I love the practicality. Um, so in general, just to give the listeners a little perspective, as a coach, there are two things that I feel like the major contributing factors to success. One is the clients are pulled by a vision, right? Or they're being pushed by the pain. So we kind of want to
Right.
utilize both, right? So the first element is I support clients with getting connected to their vision, what that really means to them. So that's kind of tapping into the deeper why, like there's a lot of hidden costs and also hidden benefits. Well, let me give you an example.
Mhm.
Let's say someone comes in. I have someone that I'm talking to tomorrow. We already talked. This is going to be our second conversation. She's been in her work for about 10 years. She makes a fair amount of money, although she feels she's a little bit underpaid. And she's also curious about taking her skills from kind of like managing a lot of people in more like retail industry to the next level. And but she's like, where do I go? But here's the thing. So let's imagine she stays in her current job for like 2 more years. And let's say she is maybe earning, let's say she's missing out on 20 grand a year. But if you think about it, she's 30, right? So she has at least 30 years of work experience. Like that 20 times 30, check my math, $600,000. Like that's just like, we're talking about missing a lot of money simply
Right.
from waiting, right?
Right.
And that's not even taking into account personal life, right? I have another client, she came in, she's like, Valentina, I got this new job. I love it, but I'm working around the clock, right? So what do I do? So it's like taking that extra time that she's working around the clock that she's not spending in her personal life. Now she's not getting married. Now she doesn't have time to create that family. So
Right.
there's a lot there. So we want that vision to be something that the person connects with. So the first exercise that I think is very revealing is to sit down, honestly write down what it is that I want, but also get honest. What's the price? What's the cost of not taking action right now? So that
Right.
could be really eye-opening. Another one, also connecting to the vision, which is part of the spiritual work that I do, is I genuinely believe that there is a bigger part of us. Each one of my clients, each one, you and me, I call it higher self. You can call it essential self, soul, bigger self that knows. It has the answer, right? And we want to connect to that part. So a lot of work that I do is either through meditations, through visualizations, but even just taking a moment and to connect to that bigger part that knows and begin to listen. Like one exercise I have a lot of clients do, I'm just going to give a lot of tips because, is like go for 2 weeks, 14 days, and every morning just take 10 minutes. And after meditation to listen within and write down, what do you want? But with the intention of just like noticing patterns, if there are any same symbols that keep coming up, same ideas, and to begin to listen. Some things will be noise, but some things will keep coming back. And
Nice.
subtle voice, we want to listen, right? So those are just some of them. There's also a lot of, so speaking of the other side, right? The pain. Here's what it's tricky. We all want to keep moving forward, right? So every single client who's ever come in, like they kind of have a general sense, I want to move forward for whatever reason. But then it's like they keep falling short. And a lot of times it's tricky because we don't see our blocks. So a lot
Right.
of work that I do is also, right, like the mindset. And sometimes it could be, we are aware of what that is, but a lot of times it's not. Like I remember one of my coaches said that I loved, she's like, we have conscious and subconscious mind, right? And the truth be told, we can have the best of intentions with the conscious mind, but if subconscious mind is not on board, this is where we're going.
Right. That's totally true. And
Right?
I mean, you can be like, I'm going to do everything right and I have everything in place, but then you're like, no, I think I'll just stay in bed and watch Netflix.
I know. And it always sounds so reasonable, right? Like, well, I'm tired. I have a headache. I worked extra 2 hours last night. I have a date, or my kid is sick. Like there's always something, right? I went through a phase, several of my clients, don't get scared, but I remember I had 2 clients one week that never happened before, but that one week they both got into car accidents. Nothing major, but it shook them up because completely unrelated to each other. But I feel like the blocks can come up in so many ways, but when we slow down, a lot of it could be that subconscious material coming up. So again, I work on several levels, like emotional, mental, and then we look at the subconscious. And so there are different tools to kind of clear those up. The easiest ones for the video, I'll just give one tip and then we can move forward because I want to give something to listeners to
No,
work
that's
with.
so good. I was just going to recap because it's so good.
Totally. So even it could be as simple as, looking at your limiting beliefs could be very supportive. So again, a great exercise to do, just sit down and write down, what are my beliefs about the core areas of your life, like career, like work, money, promotions. If you're a woman, do you have any limiting beliefs around being a woman in the workspace? Do you have any limits on what you believe is possible in your particular area, or with your level of education, or with your level of fill in the blank? Like for a long time, I had a thing that, well, I have a slight accent. You know what I mean? So can I really teach at this top level universities? And then I realized by embracing my, let's call it imperfection, I was inspiring all these international students to rise up, right? So there's a lot of things like that. Anyway, but that could be really transformative. And then, like you can work through those beliefs. And again, we can keep talking, but those are just some of the beginning tools just to bring more awareness to where the person is.
So good. It's so nice to have somebody who can actually remind us of the position that we're in, because sometimes when we're in it, we don't even know where to look for advice or how to take the next step. And we sometimes feel like we can do it on our own. And you're just like, okay, well, when are you going to sit down and figure out what are the things that are actually pulling you, because you've developed a very clear vision and you can align yourself with that vision to achieve that goal? And what are the things that are pushing you based on pain? So one of the things I say is, when the pain of the problem is greater than the action required to resolve it, that's when you start to take action.
So
And it
true.
gives you a reminder that there is a deeper why to the decisions that we make and the belief systems that we have in place. And when you can actually sit down and write out or clear your, your website is clearwaycoach.com. And when you clear the way and you've actually identified what do you want, then that's creating the vision so you know where you're going. And also, what would be the limiting beliefs that would keep you from that? As you were pointing out, even something as simple as an accent, when actually you see it as an imperfection, everyone else, I would see it as something that adds interest. It gives you depth and breadth of life experience. So, but it's for you to say what your feeling is. I would be attracted to the fact that you've got some interesting background that I don't know about and I'm eager to learn. So you might see it as an imperfection. I see it as an interest add. But having those opportunities to take a moment and go, what do you want and what's keeping you from that? That's where somebody like you as a guide can really make a difference. So, okay, you had some other things in your back pocket you wanted to share, and I am not going to keep you from it.
Yeah. And yeah, and Michelle, I appreciate what you're tapping into, right? Like the importance of having a guide. And we're all humans. Like I always have a coach. I have several accountability partners. Like my Monday morning is I'm talking to somebody from Dubai. She's another coach. We've worked together for a long time. So so one thing that I just was actually speaking to a client. She is starting her own coaching practice. So just this morning I was kind of supporting her with her business. And I feel like one thing that I want to mention that I think may be very supportive is the disguise that a lot of times our blocks take. So let me give you an example. One of the most common, let's call them obstacles that I hear about from women, professional women, family, no family, but we're all busy, right? So this piece about, I don't have enough time. And on the outside, it can look like, well, legitimately, like, especially right now, there's been a lot of extra work. I have to take care of the house now. If I have kids, it's extra work with kids. Like physically, I don't have enough time. Forget sleep, right? But if we really pause for a second, and this is what the coach is really good for, like when we go a little deeper, everyone has 24 hours in the day, including Oprah, including you, including me. Did you notice I put us all in the same bucket? Anyway, but if we really pause for a second, so what if it's not just about physical time? Then maybe it's about prioritization. Well, then I don't know how to prioritize. Let's pause for a second. You are prioritizing maybe work, maybe doing laundry for the kids, like talking to the partner, whatever that is. Let's go even slower. And then eventually the client would realize, again, this happens so much. Oh my God, I don't prioritize myself.
Right.
I don't prioritize my goals. And then it comes down even further. I don't think I deserve to prioritize myself. I have to please my partner. I have to please my parents. I have to take care of someone else but me.
Yeah.
And that's where the gold is, because unless we address that, everything else, the person is going to just like keep stumbling. But if we open that door and shift it, it's like all the other doors just open up. So,
Right. Right. And it's so valuable to remember that if you aren't filling your own emotional bucket or feeling confident and knowing that you're taking care of yourself, how can you take care of anyone else? I mean, at some point, you become a limited supply of the energy and resource, and all of those things that you're doing for everyone else comes to a screeching halt. Plus, you're the role model. So you're teaching them that they can, you're not setting boundaries. So you're letting them take advantage of that situation. And it gives identity and purpose. But one of the things that I share with clients is um, I call it, well, one of the clients that I have called it FOBU. And it's this little imaginary monster that must be really cute or we wouldn't keep it around. And I really want someone to write a children's book about FOBU. And FOBU is this outlying belief of what we think other people are thinking.
hmm.
And that's fine that other people, what we think about other people are thinking, but it's when we change our behavior based on what we think other people might think, that's when it becomes a challenge. And so all the things that you're saying, where it's like you need to pull the layers out from not just do you have enough time or prioritization, and what are your goals and what are your self goals, are you actually building yourself and taking care of yourself and making the right decisions for you rather than acting on what you think other people might think. That's just spinning wheels. So these are really valuable tools. Thank you so much, Valentina. You were talking about how this might be an obstacle. Are there any other obstacles that people might run into if they um, don't see that the value of these tools, or they think they can do it on their own?
Yeah, for sure. I always have to drink a lot of water when there's a lot of energy that moves through. Um, yeah, the other big one. So not having enough time, or like the one of its twins is I'm waiting for the right time.
Ah,
Like it'll be the right time when, at the I can't tell you how many clients I had. Like, Valentina, I need to quit my job in 3 months. And then, no, I think I'll do it in 6 months. And there is a right timing, but it's also tempting sometimes to delay, like having an impulse. You know what? Maybe just like me, I'll be honest with you, when I was 35 and I made that big leap, the truth be told, that's not the first time I had that idea. I remember when I was maybe 30, 31, I already began to have these visions, but I just kept telling myself I wasn't ready. Like in my mind, I needed to be a lot older and more mature. I don't know what I was thinking. Like I needed to be 70 years old. But my point is, it can be very subtle. But if you think about all the time that we're missing of not living that next stage,
right,
there's a lot of ripple effect. So this piece is pretty big. The other one is fear. Fear comes up all the time. And fear could be tricky because it looks like something else. It can look like, like I need to get another certification. I need to get another degree. I need to get fill in the blank to be more enough.
mm-hmm.
Again, could look very legitimate. But if we pause for a second, there's a lot of cost. I can't tell you again. I mean, I can't tell you, but I just see the temptation, right? Like the cost of the extra degrees, the time, right? Again, the delay. So, and sometimes it could be exciting to get another degree, but
Yeah,
it's different from getting it from the place of I'm already enough and this is my next level of expression versus I'm not going to do anything. I have to do something else before I'm enough for my next stage.
right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
So that's another big one that I see. And again, if unless there is a kind of someone to reflect us back to us, it
mhm,
sounds reasonable. And another one is kind of listening to so many outside voices. I mean, hopefully we all have a lot of support. Some people have more support than others. But I remember one of my coaches back, one of my first Hay House authors that I used to love to see at conferences was Cheryl Richardson. And
yeah,
she would often say, don't go to hardware store for milk. the idea is if you want to buy milk, let's call it a new career, or, like where you have better work-life balance, better salary, whatever that is. Don't A lot of times people go to hardware store, they go to friends and family, and sometimes parents are worried about us, or friends are used to us being a certain way, and they just kind of tell us this fearful stories with the best of intentions, but they may not have faced those fears themselves, so they just keep kind of putting their fears on us. So it can become really honestly dangerous and expensive. So I think it really matters who we listen to.
Right.
So if you don't have a coach, maybe even just picking which podcast to listen to, like which videos like yours, which books to read. So speaking of the book, Get Clear on Your Career, could be a very inspiring guide, but it matters who we listen to. There's a reason why psychologists say that we become the average of the 5 people we hang out with.
Right.
What happens when we want to go to a next level? We still are surrounded by the same people. That means by definition, we need to bring some new people into our circle. Otherwise, it's going to be very, very difficult. I mean, I'm not going to say impossible, but very challenging to change. So these are just a few. I mean, there's so many, but this is just a few that I see often with kind of prospective clients coming in.
I'm so happy to hear the story about I can't get milk from the hardware store, because even in both of my books and when I'm working with clients, I say you can't get milk from the Comcast guy.
Oh my God, I love it. Yeah, exactly. Right. And no matter how hard we try, and it could be a great Comcast guy.
Right,
Just
right.
place to get it.
Go ahead. No, but the way that I position it is very similar to what you're talking about. And I talk about how organizations, because business owners and the C-suite employees will hire me to stay in their zone of genius. And then I coach and help their management team to develop, these high performing teams. And one thing I talk about is how companies have these advisors and they create a board of directors for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And why don't you? So we actually work together to figure out, those 5 people who you have in your circle of trust, I call it. And you can raise yourself by making sure that you've got the emotional support you need, the subject matter experts, as you were talking about, as well as those accountability partners and the people who will leverage their position to support you. So I actually help people create these advisory boards, which helps catapult them and their careers in that way. And it's exactly what you're saying. And that's another way to be part of something bigger than yourself when you've got access to the support team, that you are enough. And it's such a powerful statement to be able to say, I am enough. And what an amazing gift that you have to share with people to help them understand that they are enough and they have the skills and they can create the vision that will pull them into who they are becoming. And then you don't really have to feel the pain of, what's pushing them into this new opportunity. But you're right, there's a balance in there. So good. Valentina, people can do it on their own, but what would be the trigger? What would be a very clear breaking point that would be sending the message to say, you know what, today is the day that I need to go to clearwaycoach.com and get support from somebody like Valentina Savelyeva? How do they know?
How do they know it's time? Well, there are a few things that I always ask this question, right? Like when the new person comes in, like, what brought you? And there are a few things that I hear. I mean, sometimes it's like a bigger event, right? Something actually happens, either someone else gets a promotion, but a lot of times it's more subtle.
Yeah.
It's more subtle. Like you notice yourself kind of like spending all your breaks and evenings somewhere between Netflix and browsing like offerings on LinkedIn, but nothing really fits and nothing feels good. Or you notice yourself, you're kind of dreading going to work, or not feeling not feeling as excited, or kind of maybe even fantasizing about taking a sabbatical to discover what's next. Don't do it yet. I mean, I had clients who've had amazing sabbaticals, but we want to plan for it so that, you don't lose all that money and all that momentum that you've built. Like there's so many great ways to do this, right? One thing that I always ask when prospective clients come in, and I never take anyone unless I look at their commitment scale and I kind of ask how committed are they. So there is something to be said about being at a certain level of commitment. Basically, you want to kind of, some people like just sit down and kind of check in with themselves. And just like I was when I was 35, kind of like sometimes it could be like a breakdown, right? You look at your life and it's just too much happening at once, and you realize, you know what, I can't go like this anymore. Like, I need to do something different. I need to fix my, career, my relationships. And honestly, it's enough is enough. Enough playing small. Sometimes people want to buy a house and they realize I'm never going to make it unless I do something different.
Right.
So we want the person to be committed, and it's very personal, and we can't force it. So I'm very careful with that one.
Beautiful. So we were talking about how if somebody reaches out to you and goes to clearwaycoach.com, that you would have a gift to share with them. Do you want to
Oh,
tell
yes.
me
So,
about it?
of course, I'm all about giving. And I do truly believe that, especially, if someone is new to coaching, I feel like it's a great way to get to know different tools. So one of the areas that basically comes up for every single woman I've ever worked with is money and our relationship with money, how to negotiate better, how to, doesn't matter if it's a promotion, if it's a new job, if it's a business. So one of my most popular modules in my work is around money and how to stop being underpaid, how to kind of increase that level of presence and leadership with the financial abundance. So if you go to clearwaycoach.com, one of my freebies, one of my most popular ones, is a course. And it's like a legitimate course with some exercises that you can download and you can go through to identify some of your kind of money blocks, to hopefully work through some of them so that you can stop being underpaid, or I call it being under earner, so that, again, every single person can take that to the next level, whatever that might mean for you. And there's something very empowering about knowing, you know what, I can bring in more income if I choose. And it could be through this job or through another one. So that's basically why I chose to give that as a gift to my visitors. So clearwaycoach.com to kind of and to stop being underpaid course.
Beautiful. So clearwaycoach.com, ClearwayCoach.com. You can connect with Valentina Savelyeva right there at clearwaycoach.com and download How to Stop Being Underpaid so that you too can clear your money blocks. And if you would like a copy of the new management blueprint, then go to lightthesparklady@gmail.com and let me know how I can help you and your management team succeed. And I work with new managers as well as seasoned managers. So if there's been big layoffs in your company and you're now put in a position where you don't have experience managing other people and their careers, and you're like, now what am I supposed to do? I don't want to lose my job over it. That would be a trigger to reach out to me. Or if you're a business owner or a C-suite employee who's looking to focus on what you need to focus on, and you need your managers to have some support to develop their teams and make sure that you're exceeding revenue goals and finding those revenue rivers that are already in the company. I'm amazing at uncovering opportunities in that way. Then go to lightthesparklady@gmail.com. Valentina, thank you so much for joining me today at Michelle Hoffmann's Liner Notes. You really provide such an incredible support and guidance for women who have been in the workforce for a decade, who are looking for their dream careers, to get a promotion, to find more meaning in what they're doing, and to feel happy in your personal and professional life, to be able to hit that breakthrough and understand what pain is pushing you to do something and what vision is pulling you into your perfect future. Valentina, thank you so much.
Thank you, Michelle. It's been such a pleasure. And yeah, and just so many blessings ahead to everyone for all of your dreams come true, be that dream career, a dream team. I feel like there's it's such a beautiful opportunity for all of us to kind of step up, whatever that may look like. So with our businesses, with our companies, with our personal lives. So I'm just really excited to be a part of it.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you again.